First day of Lucky Leaf, 2025 Minneapolis Expo, cannabis industry. We're here today with our partners, Union Bank and Trust. Brandon Padgett, Chief Deposit Officer. Good to see you.
Morning. Thanks for having
being
us.
here. Absolutely. Day one, what are your thoughts so far? How are you feeling?
Feel good. Got in yesterday. Well, not in. We're here, but set up the booth and did a little lap and met a bunch of vendors this morning.
Yeah.
Been a lot of fun.
Cool. So we're at the convention center. Feels like a typical kind of trade show. Are you noticing, there's no consumption, there's no products here, there's no smell of cannabis in the air, right? And so
Correct.
It's really geared more towards the ancillary services, the folks that are looking at licenses, that need a banking partner, for example. So I'm optimistic this is going to be a pretty good show.
Yeah, I think so. I won't mention it in the show, but Sean and I did a show, and there was a vendor that was upset that there was no consumption, and they decided we get over here and we need to go where the party is. I'm like, no. We're setting ourselves up as a real industry.
Yeah.
And this is what professionals do. You don't drink, you don't consume THC, you show up to work.
Right.
To make connections, and seemingly everybody here, we do a lot of shows, as you know.
Yeah.
Whether it's cannabis related or it's building trade industry related, and the more we do these cannabis shows, the tighter they feel. It's bringing a real professional, we're an industry to be reckoned with, which is good. You know, those kids want to party, where we saw on the show, good, go party, that's fine.
Right.
I don't see your success lasting in this industry if you're not going to take it seriously, and that's what I've seen. We're just into it, but so far today, it's been awesome.
Yeah, there's a certain level of professionalism in starting up an industry, in organizing. You can't get all this put together if you're getting high every morning.
No.
As fun as that is,
yes.
I'm not knocking the plant, but you got to know your dose. I mean, today I took a healthy amount of CBD in the morning, and that's really where I encourage people to start, with daily consumption, with morning consumption. Yep. When I do consume in the morning, cannabis, THC, I often crash out around noon or 1 o'clock, or I don't have the wherewithal.
Yeah.
Or you can re-up and get high again, but then you're just getting high all day, and that's, to your point, that's not how industry events get put together.
Right. And to your point, it's fun. It's a great Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Go to the park, whatever.
Right.
It's a great time. But yeah, if we want to take ourselves seriously, which we all do, there's business and then there's pleasure, right?
Right.
And you separate them out, and the longer we're in this industry now, 10 years, right? The more it becomes tighter, the more people realize that, and truthfully, this industry has a way to carve out space for the middle class. What we do at the bank is cannabis, and we do the labor unions, as you're well aware of. And that's a fight for the middle class, right? We're seeing that shrink and shrink and shrink. And cannabis has the ability in Minnesota to grow that middle class, to bring good jobs, skilled jobs that bring satisfaction, support a family. And so you got to take that seriously.
Yeah.
It's a serious issue.
Well, I'll share this on camera. One of the reasons why we're here right now, one of the reasons why we have the booth space that we have, and the way that we're throwing the after party tonight, thanks to Union Bank and Trust for sponsoring, is because there are jobs online now. They're manufacturing jobs. They're production industry jobs. They start at $20 an hour with North Star Canna, and I was not afraid to take that job and work part-time at the beginning of this year to get my hands, to get a pulse, really. Yeah. And then once I was able to work for a few weeks, put that out there through Canna Connect, and I've been able to send 10 resumes over to North Star Canna so far, and they've been interviewing and hiring, and it's about, I spoke with Liddell Roberts on the phone through your connection, and it's about jobs. It's about careers. And right now, the best place to get a job in the Twin Cities is probably through the Prairie Island Indian community and North Star Canna, because they are ramping up production, and they are ramping up distribution, and they want to start fueling dispensaries. And then on the OCM side of things, we're still waiting for those licenses to go out, but we're sitting here on the last day of February in 2025, and I can only imagine how much growth we're going to see this year through the Minnesota cannabis industry.
Yeah, we're excited. You talked to a couple banks this morning too, and just made sure, you've heard me say this message, but we need all of them. We need a strong banking structure. It doesn't Do we want to win? Yeah, absolutely, at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean we're better than anybody else. We need them all, and there's great partners out there.
Yeah,
to,
well, that's
to
good to
do
hear.
good, right? Because the better the banking industry in Minnesota does for this industry, the better this industry does.
Right, and competitive, and no frills, and the least amount of cannabis tax, you know. And I'm looking forward to setting up my account next week with Union Bank and Trust. And
we're excited.
And you know, I'm going to take some of the profits from this event and put them into Union Bank and Trust, and just, you know, we have to grow and build together, and that's how I really believe this industry will do well.
Yeah, and it's, you know, we're very Minnesotan, right? Which I love about what we're doing here, because we've been to the other states, and what do we know about Minnesota? We love Minnesota.
Yeah, we do.
Right? We just saw Unreal have a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
Off the backs of us, like us Minnesotans. we love what we do here. So being able to help protect that craft space in Minnesota through local banking, through local insurance providers, local manufacturers, you know, you need MSOs in everything, right?
Well,
but we've done such a good job in Minnesota and every other industry. I mean, look at our beer and wine industry. We can do the same thing here. And now those are national brands.
Yes,
just like Unreal.
Like Surly and the likes of that. So before we wrap up, for folks that are on the fence or wanting to learn more, tell us a little bit about Union Bank and Trust's experience in the cannabis industry.
Absolutely. I'll give the dollar story. I usually say the dime story. So Union Bank and Trust, we were founded in 1976. We were founded by the building trades of Minneapolis, St. Paul. 24 different building trades, still our same ownership group today. We're run by 12 men right now. It's been men and women in the past. It's 12 men right now that are either active or retired business managers that have run the trades, run the electrical union, run the sheet metal union, run the plumbers union, right? So the people that work for them are the people men and women that build and maintain our cities, our states, our buildings. Where you go to work, it's there because of these working men and women. So in 2014, when medical was coming around, you know, everybody, the two MSOs that are here were kicking the doors for banks, and banks weren't saying yes, and two of us said yes. We were one of them.
Cool.
And then as medical came up, our owners saw the effect on members, right? We could kick opioids, we could kick alcohol or curb our alcohol and just be healthier. It changed lives. It helped people work better, helped people work longer, helped people enjoy grandkids. And so we've gone through all the different verticals, through the hemp build and through the low potency, and now obviously adult use rec. And our board and us, we believe it's a job creator.
Yes.
It's an industry that makes people's lives better. You know, and that's just like anything else. It's moderation is key, right? If you're abusing anything, that's not good for you.
Right.
But it's just going to drive so much prosperity in this state when done right. And, you know, people are complaining this or that, OCM this, or we haven't, but eventually we do everything right in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
We get there. We may be slow, but we get there.
Right.
And it's going to be good for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to continue growing with Union Bank and Trust. Appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Northern Lights podcast. We're here at Lucky Leaf Expo. I'm here with Sean Cole from Union Bank and Trust.
Thank you for having me.
It's exciting to be here.
It is.
Yeah. Sean, welcome to the cannabis industry. However, the Union Bank and Trust group has been in the cannabis industry for a long time.
10 years.
10 years, longer than a lot of folks here, actually.
Yeah, and it's fantastic for us to say that story.
It is.
Right, you know, because the journey that we took is different than other banks that you're going to find here.
You know, that's a great point, and that's why we enjoy working with you, because we know that you've been in this industry for a long time and that you've seen a lot from the relationships you have with one of the medical providers here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And you can use that to help educate a lot of the entrepreneurs that are now getting into the space or have been getting into the space for the last few years. How did you end up at Union Bank and Trust? And let's introduce you as the CEO of Union Bank and Trust. Is that correct?
That is correct, President and CEO. It's been 11 months now, so not even quite a year that I've been part of the organization. How I wound up there, you know, I've been 30 years in banking.
Okay.
And this is a quite unique experience, one that different than I've ever had.
Yeah, if folks want to find you on LinkedIn, that's where we've connected in the past. And like, you have a great deal of experience, so I'd love to know how, not just how you got here, but what have you done, and like what prepares you for this role that you have now?
Yeah, so my experience, it's a little different than your traditional community bank CEO.
Okay.
I come from an operations, finance, and accounting background. I was actually CFO for the majority of my time in banking.
Okay.
between being chief financial officer, chief administrative officer, I've run operations, IT, compliance, HR, strategic planning. I've done everything.
Okay.
Except really the sales side of things.
Sure.
And so it allows me to bring a unique, different lens to see an entirely whole picture.
As CFO, as Chief Administrative Officer, this was inside financial institutions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, two banks, community banks, one family owned two banks, and so I worked for both of them at the same time.
And what led you to banking?
So this is going to be a nerdy story, but it's the God's honest truth. I was probably about 8 years old.
Okay.
And I remember opening my bank statement. And it was just a child savings account, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the statement comes, and I look, and there's this extra line item.
Okay.
Like $4.
Yeah.
And I asked my mom and dad, what's this $4? And they're like, well, that's the interest. And like, interest? Well, that's the money you make for leaving it there. And I'm like, I can get paid to do nothing? Fantastic. This is an interesting space to be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, finance and accounting from that aspect has always just appealed to me.
The productivity of the intention, right? Of leaving your money somewhere and watching it grow. That is nice.
That is nice, and so that was the entry into it. But as I matured, got older, went to college, understanding the risk aspect of it, the business side of it, how to be a good business person within banking.
Okay.
That started to appeal to the strategy in me, to the logician in me, to thinking through the many moving pieces on the chessboard that need to be moved around.
Right.
As you execute strategy.
What did you study and where did you go?
Yeah, so I studied finance at the wonderful University of North Dakota.
UND?
Yes.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, so it's the Harvard of the Upper Midwest, right?
Solid school, yeah, it is.
It's a good place to be from.
Okay, and did you enjoy the hockey while you were there?
That's what drew me there.
Okay, really?
Yeah. It was free tickets for students, so I went.
Right, and a phenomenal arena from what I understand.
It is.
Okay.
It is, yeah. It's quite impressive with leather seats everywhere, and
yeah.
It's a high level product.
Right, and hockey is what stands out at UND with the team. What are they called now?
The Fighting Hawks.
The Fighting Hawks.
Yes.
Right, and so fast forward. Was it a rough road after college to sort of work your way through, or where did you land? How did you get going?
Yeah, so I right after college was fortunate to get a job with Bremer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and in their loan operations area.
Okay.
And so just worked my way up through Bremer, through various stops, got into accounting, got into that.
Yeah.
Then had the opportunity to go to then Marquette.
Okay.
And work in their area.
Marquette Bank.
Marquette Bank.
Okay.
It was actually the holding company. So instead of actually at the bank level, it was at the holding company, and so we spend more time on strategy and analysis and acquisitions.
What is a holding company? Because we're starting to see holding companies enter into the cannabis industry. Could you explain how holding companies work to some level?
Yeah, so a holding company is just a legal entity that's going to hold various other assets underneath it.
Okay.
Other business lines underneath it.
Okay.
Yeah, so for banking, what a banking holding company allows you to do is you can have a bank, and then you can do other things that maybe a bank isn't allowed to do regulatory-wise.
Sure.
So you could have an insurance arm, you could have, an investment arm, you could have, other accounting services that maybe you couldn't provide as a bank, but
Right.
the holding company structure allows you the ownership to do that.
Okay. Yeah. So it's high-level divisions that you may need solid walls in between in order to ensure that you're still doing things. I don't know, FDIC, or doing things from a regulatory perspective.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, we're not allowed to own real estate other than our own bank properties.
Okay.
And so there are holding companies that have divisions to just own real estate.
Yes. Makes sense.
Right.
Right.
So
Sure. So geographically, you went to school in North Dakota. Have you worked primarily in Minnesota? Have you worked in any other states as well?
Always been in Minnesota.
Always in Minnesota? Cool.
Always in Minnesota.
And where are you from?
Originally from Marshall, Minnesota, so
Okay.
southwestern corner. So born and raised Minnesotan.
Yeah.
I escaped all the way to Grand Forks for college.
I see.
So I'm still close to the border, right?
Yeah.
Before coming here right after college,
Okay.
my then girlfriend, now wife, and I knew that we wanted to.
Yeah.
This is where we always wanted to settle.
Awesome. And how is she doing?
Fantastic. Thank you
that's
for
great.
asking.
That's great. Yeah. I'm newly married, so I'm always curious.
Yeah, you got the newborn?
Yeah, new
4
baby.
months old?
Yeah,
Fantastic for
thank
you.
Yeah, it's been fun becoming a dad and growing a family and balancing being an entrepreneur as well as, family responsibilities. And it's an exciting time. I really enjoy upstarts. I enjoy new industry. So I got into cannabis through cold pressed juice. I was a part of a raw cold pressed juice company called JuiceBot, and we were developing kiosks that you could press a button and get raw, fresh, organic juice.
Nice.
What I learned was you end up doing, if you're doing 3 companies at once, we were developing the hardware, developing the software, and stocking the machines. You really, as a startup, you really can't afford to do 3 things at once. You have to do one thing and do it really well.
Yes.
And I try to take that approach to this podcast because the podcast is going well, but if we try to do events and if we try to do classes and we try to do this, so with the Northern Lights podcast and the Minnesota Cannabis College, we've been really focused on the podcast. And we appreciate Union Bank because they've been a great supporter of us, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you. So I really
We're proud
appreciate
to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
We're proud to do it. I mean, our story of why we're in it, and I know you've heard it.
Sure.
But, I think it's unique for us in that we're here not because we made a business decision. We're here because our board of directors said we need to be in this space.
Yes.
Right? We're 100% union owned by building trades, and I know Brandon explained this earlier,
Sure.
but they early on saw their members benefit from the medical side of things.
Yes.
And the recreational side,
Sure.
right? The aches and pains, the kicking out opioid or alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
So our board, unlike another bank, I'm sure there's others here, that their journey was they needed to go convince the board to get into it, where it was us saying, nope, our board saying, you guys get in it and get into it now.
And if I could provide some advice, not necessarily to you, but to the greater banking community, is leave the stigma at the door.
Yeah, and that's what we do well.
Yes.
Right? We're going to treat you like a business.
Right.
We always say, I don't care if you're a hardware store or a coffee shop or a liquor store, you're a business.
Yes.
You have the same normal business challenges any other business has.
And
so why have the
yes.
canna tax?
Yes, but also you're going to have those business expectations.
Yes.
You can't just take anybody off the street and give them a bank account. You're going to know your customer, you're going to CYA, and you're going to make sure that they're an upstanding business. But beyond that, you're not going to overcharge them on the canna tax, for example.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we're going to do everything the right way.
Yeah.
Whether that's regulatory, whether that's going to be in client services, whatever we do, we're going to do it the right way.
Yeah.
But we're really proud to help be part of standing up this industry.
Yes.
I know I am from the standpoint that there's not much new in the banking world.
Sure.
Right? Name a bank innovation, you probably can't really think of one since the debit card.
Okay. Yeah.
But here we are now with standing up this industry. And to be part of helping grow it is exciting.
It is.
Because this is just different than anything any of us have ever done.
Yes. And then within Minnesota, to understand the PG-13 market, as I like to call it, or the hemp-derived market, and the way the breweries have been able to get involved, and the way these mom and pops have been able to open stores or create brands and start to grow products and get the name out there before the adult use legalization, before the licensing and all that. And it's been a long journey. I think I've been in this industry now coming up on 6 years, and we're now just getting into retail dispensaries. But I've enjoyed the learnings along the way, and I think Minnesota has a really educated customer base when it comes to cannabis, but there's still a lot more room for education.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I know we have plans to partner with people to do just that.
Sure.
Right? I mean, we want it to grow and thrive.
Yes.
And like I mentioned, we're a union-owned bank. We are in this space because of that membership benefit, but also with the labor peace agreement that needs to happen within the structure. We are in this space to help grow union jobs.
Yeah.
So it's another benefit of why we are here. That's exciting. It's the job growth. It's providing good paying, high quality jobs. And that's just, it gets me juiced when I, to come here and do these things.
Sweet. Yeah, you're a great fit for the industry as a brand, and it's been great getting to know you, as well as Brandon and Sean, and I got to meet Denise as well, and so look forward to continuing the conversation, and hopefully I'll see you tonight at Modest.
You are going to be there. I'll be there. My wife, my daughter are going to be there, so I'm looking forward to it very much.
Nice.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Ever felt like running a cannabis business means running in circles just to get basic banking? Union Bank and Trust gets it. They've been helping cannabis businesses for over 10 years, solving problems like securing accounts, managing cash flow, and navigating regulations. No more jumping through hoops, no more runarounds. Just straightforward banking solutions built on trust, integrity, and performance. Check out unionbankandtrust.com today. That's unionbankandtrust.com.